Katy, hello and welcome.
Hi. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. We're here today to talk about women in construction in the main, but we want to get to know you a little bit more and the challenges you face and the excitement that you bring to the business and what lies ahead and all that kind of good stuff. But let's start right at the beginning and tell us about your role at the BBA.
Cool. So I've been with the BBA for 2 years. I head up the marketing team, and the marketing team as it is today is very different to what it's been in the past, in the sense that we are a bunch of energetic, activity-focused individuals who have a real passion for serving our market and for making sure that the message and the services that the BBA provides are well constructed, relevant to the right people, but more so that we're listening and we taking the insights that we're learning from the market back into the business. So yeah, been heading up the marketing team for 2 years, and so far so good. Very exciting place to be.
Fantastic. So you've obviously got a passion for this. What do you enjoy most about your role?
I think it's been a strange couple of years because of COVID and all the stuff that's been going on. But even just for us as a team, we the business is undergoing such a lot of transformation, and there are so many things that we know we could have been doing better in the past, and all that kind of stuff. And we have so many strengths that we could be building on, and we have a huge role to play in the market. So what I've loved most about being in the role is actually learning what those things are. Okay, how can we improve, implement the change, do it, and see the results, measure the results. I think, a lot of people are quite nervous about change and doing things differently, but that's kind of something that really drives me. It's my bag. I love it. It's not always comfortable, I'll be honest with you, but it's something that really excites me and that I love. I'm a fixer by nature, so I try and get stuck in whenever I can, much to my colleagues' disgust, I think. But I enjoy the changeability. No 2 days are the same. So yeah.
I think you alluded to it just then, but clearly that will bring some challenges to your role in terms of being a fixer, well, your class as a fixer, and how you tackle challenges and problems and issues. So, what are your main challenges then?
Yeah, I think, with any kind of change that comes along, and a lot of the people that are watching this might not know the full extent of how the business is changing. I hope they've seen it in the way that we're communicating, we're changing the way we do things and launching new products and all of that exciting stuff. But I think, along with change, there's always the importance of making sure that everyone within the business are on the same page, we're facing the same direction, we have the same goals in mind, we understand what the game plan strategy is. So, those kind of things are just day-to-day challenges that you have to keep checking in, with each other. Do we understand it the same way? Are we interpreting the same way? So with change, there's obviously, lots of those kind of challenges. But also, if we look outside of the BBA, the market itself has gone through such a lot of flux over the past few years. There's so many external factors that are driving massive amount of change for the whole of the industry. So Brexit, huge tragedies in the market that are now making the entire market become a much safer place. So regulation changes, all that kind of stuff. So we have had to become really agile and adaptable in responding to those, while still continuing to serve and make sure our relevance is there. So I think the challenge has been not so much a challenge in a negative sense, but in a listening, learning, how do we interpret, how do we adapt and change, and then our output from that. So it's kind of having to be a little bit quicker on our toes and making sure and keep checking in with our clients to make sure that what we are changing to and what we're doing aligns with what they need. So yeah, I'd say probably those are the biggest things that we've been facing, certainly as a team anyway.
So from a women in construction perspective, then, have you seen a change in the industry since you've been in that?
So it's interesting because, my background was never in construction, and I look at initiatives like Women in Construction, and I think if it weren't for these kinds of initiatives, we would never see progress. And I'm in construction because I serve the construction space. I don't physically build a house. I don't physically install something. I don't physically test a product. But what I do, the service that I provide, serves the construction as a whole. So in terms of change, I look at it slightly bigger. I look at, if it wasn't if these initiatives weren't as prevalent as they are, and you can take it across any kind of industry, the focus on the relevance of women and the empowerment of the message saying you can do whatever you want to do. You like it doesn't. If you go into construction, it doesn't always mean you have to don your hard hat and steel toe cap boots. There are so many opportunities for women to now take a real strong role in leadership within the construction space. The construction industry is becoming completely digitized. Data is becoming the leading driver of a lot of what we do. So you're looking at scientific research, you're looking at the implementation, the computing, the machine learning, all of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of cross industry skills that are now being applied to construction, which is just opening up so many new opportunities. So if you ask me, have I seen a lot change? I wouldn't say, I can't say because I don't know. We have so many more women now in the construction space. What I can say is that I'm seeing this crossing of skill, or the sharing of skill, which is opening up more opportunity, which is exactly what these type of things need to highlight.
Yeah, and if you look at it from that perspective, it's less about women in construction, and it's more about bringing new skills and abilities into construction. That, like you said, it's not just a hard hat. And highlighting those in terms of, it's not just on a building site, it's everything around that, and things that facilitate it, and there's a primary nature of being on that site and seeing something being built, but there's the secondary part of that as well, that's away from that site, that anyone can get involved in. It's kind of highlighting those things, not just to women, but for everybody.
Everyone, really. absolutely. Yeah, diversity of skill.
Yeah, fantastic. So just going back to specifically women in construction, how do you think we can encourage more women to get involved? I think you've touched on a couple of points there, but I'd like to dig a little deeper into that.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to highlight things that women are doing as a way of showing, look, you can do it, because I think there is still, certainly in the construction space, my impression is this: when you say women going into construction, my immediate thought is the physical, the construction, the installation side of it. But I look at opportunities, even just, we've been undergoing such a lot of recruitment at the BBA, and you look at the types of roles that are now being recruited for in terms of project management, product management, innovation managers, things like that. I think, and there's so much unknown around the direction. I hate the expression, the direction of travel, but the direction of travel of construction, that there's so much unknown around the new types of roles that are being created and used in the construction space, that I think, our role is certainly to highlight that and to say, you don't have to be, you don't have to don your high vis for this role. You use your skills and you're in that space. It's interesting, an anecdote. When I joined the BBA, when I was asked to join, I immediately said, I don't know I don't know the construction space. I immediately held my hands up and I said, I don't think I'm the right candidate. But for my role, I was the right candidate. For what I was trying to do, I was the right candidate. And a lot of it is learned. There's a lot of, I think a lot of us put our invisible hurdles up, thinking, I don't have experience, so I can't apply, or it's not relevant to me. But actually, a lot of this is about learning, and over these past 2 years, I've really tried to learn as much and listen as much as I can to build up my knowledge. And now I can say, okay, I understand how users use, for example, our information, how the role that we play in the for a manufacturer who comes to test our product, the role that we, and all of that is knowledge I've learned by speaking to clients and partners and all that. It's not something that was innate to me. So I think what we can do to overcome these challenges is certainly highlight the new opportunities, the roles, the changing face of construction, if you will, the use of innovative products and sustainable things, people doing different things, all of that is quite exciting. And I think we could certainly ramp that up a lot more.
I honestly think that hard hat image is the wrong image to portray right now for the construction industry, and even call it construction industry. I think that's quite an aged term, and it makes you think of a building and building upwards. And there's so much in construction. It's almost changing environment industry, because that's what we're
Yes.
doing in terms of,
Yes.
it could be, like you said, it could be a road, it could be a bridge. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be a building.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
you don't even have to really ever see that bridge building, whatever it is, to be part of it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
I
let's
mean,
dig
you
a
look, sorry, on that, you look at the
absolutely, yeah.
crossover between, retail spaces that are now becoming residential spaces. A lot of that is
Mhm.
down to design and, the typically, I want to say the more, the roles that typically women would go into in terms of interior design and all of that. But a lot of that stuff is critical in terms of now using different space in different ways. It's not building, but it's reuse and repurposing, which, a lot of new kind of roles are coming into that space.
Okay, I just want to focus on yourself
Mm.
for a couple of minutes. And what female role models inspire you, and why?
So this is a really difficult question because we always default to the woman that you Google and these incredible women that did amazing things, and you think, yes, you were amazing, but how I can't relate, like I can't
Mm,
connect. And I mean, someone that's always inspired me, well, people that have always inspired me are people that took the first move and stood out and took the most wind, the classics. So Rosa Parks and, the likes of all those women who really fought for something they believe in.
yeah.
But where I take inspiration from, I'm a very, I don't know what the right word is, but I like to see something and then do it. I can relate to something. So it's going to be very cheesy, but where I at the moment take a lot of inspiration from is we have recently employed a lot of really impressive women in our business. And by that, I mean, people where I look to people that can inspire me where I feel I am lacking, where
Hmm.
I'm not, I need to learn, I need to develop it more, I need to try a new skill, etc. And one person in particular that really inspires me at the BBA has been our ops director, Tara Delahoy. And she comes from a rail background. And very similarly, she moved from the rail background into, to the BBA. And the ability to kind of use the skill, transfer that skill, but also do it in such a fluid way that has kind of made the team feel on side. It's just been something to watch. And she's one example. We've employed several other, really incredible women in the same sense that are just leading functions and leading massive projects that I kind of look at and I go, okay, I don't feel insecure in a certain area. I take inspiration from them and how they kind of growing their teams, how they're changing the market. Another example is our client engagement team, which is also quite a relatively new team in the over the past couple of years. But I look at the results that they've delivered as a team, led by Bina Tanner. I look at the results they've delivered for our clients, and I'm sorry, this is sounding like a bit of a preachy thing, but I'm genuinely impressed by this and I think going from where we were to where we are today, it's chalk and cheese, and I think, okay, that's the kind of stuff that makes me want to go, let me do better, I'm part of a bigger mission. And that's the kind of stuff that inspires me, is things that I can actually measure and see, wow, okay, I was here, but I'm here. And that makes me want to keep going. So, I mean, I also take a lot of inspiration from, I think, if I'm really honest, I think the women in construction bit, people also default to, let's only look at women doing amazing things. But I think there's also a lot to be said about men in leadership who recognize the importance of equality and diversity. And, so even so, I think, our entire leadership is all about making sure we're diverse, and so taking inspiration from several people who kind of put that on their agenda and know the importance and relevance of doing that, to me is, I take nuggets from several bits almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So we've gone right from history makers to BBA and change makers within the BBA. But have you got any favorite quotes that inspire you?
Yeah. So this comes from my mom. When I got married, my favorite quote that I use even regularly is my mom said to me, whenever you get into an argument or you're facing a crossroads or you have to choose a battle, ask yourself this question: do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? And that's something that's always stuck with me, because I think, going back to what I was saying about change is, sometimes you have to really pick your battles. It's an exhausting, tiring place to be. And to keep going, keep focused, keep leading, you have to be able to sometimes choose your battles. Some you have to go, okay, it's out of my control, I need to just carry on. And some you have to go, I am not letting this go. And so that quote has always stuck with me. And although it was intended in life and relationship, it's something that kind of makes me even today go, okay, park that, something else. So yeah, I'd say that's probably the quote that I live by.
Excellent. Good quote to live by as well. So let's wrap things up by looking at the future.
Cool.
How do we get future generations of women into the construction industry?
So I think a lot of this is around how we serve. So if I look at this as who are my future clients, right? Because that'll determine how you act, the types of services that you put out, but also how you approach the market and whether they want to do business with you, and therefore inspire ways to innovate, ways to create. I think we're at the construction industry is at a point where we need to diversify in the way that we enable user experience or innovate in user experience. So a newer, younger buying generation, for example, that's busy rising up through the ranks, will want to do things differently. They have a different way of deciding, a different decision-making process, different buying behaviors. So as a business, we need to be ready for that. But also, I think it also shows indirectly, how anything is possible. It doesn't have to be standard to a particular gender or a role. Anything is possible. And I think by us doing exactly these type of things, highlighting the possibilities, I think it kind of takes it away from you can do everything versus look, this is how it's been done. You truly can do anything. Because I think we lose sight of the options that we have, as opposed to we're faced with this, you can do everything, massive world, but we don't know where to start. So I think there's a lot that can be said about, the role that a business plays in changing a user experience to kind of open up that world of opportunity for a younger generation to say, oh, that's okay, I don't need my hard hat, I can go in there, I can do that. That's relevant. And I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, and from that perspective, just to finish things off from a BBA point of view, in terms of what the BBA do, there's not much that's done actually on a building site. A lot of it's done away from that, and a lot of it's done away from the more traditional construction environment.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's exactly the point is we are, someone asks me, for example, well, what sector is the BBA in? Well, there are several that we're in. We're in product certification and testing and all of that kind of stuff. We're in business services, but we're also in the construction space because we serve the construction industry. So that's exactly my point. It's kind of saying gone is the old of this is what the construction space looks like. It's not like that anymore. There are so many services that feed into that make the whole, that feed that whole supply chain, whether you are someone testing a product, whether you're someone making the product, whether you're someone selling the product, it's all it's kind of all connected. So yeah,
absolutely. Let's wrap it up there. Katy, thank you so much for joining me today.
Pleasure. Thanks, Pete, for having me.